And welcome back, everyone, to Overtime. Once again, our special guest, Mike Kinnison of Delta State, who now serves as athletic director. But prior to that, he was the head baseball coach for Delta State for 23 years. Prior to that, 3 years as an assistant. So Delta State has been a part of his life for some 3 decades now. And Coach, we were talking earlier about your time at Delta State when you arrived there back in 1993, leaving the high school ranks. How did that transition all come into play? Because you said you thought maybe Madison was going to be a place for you for maybe some time, but then Delta State comes calling.
Yeah, Madison Central was a kind of a special place, a job I had kind of had my eye on. It was their second year as a school and being able to get in there on the ground level. But Coach Bill Marchant was the head coach here at Delta State at that time, and actually in the spring of 1993 he had a car accident that left him paralyzed. So at that point in time, Delta State approached me about coming back and assisting him through that period, through that time, working as his assistant. And you know, it was an opportunity to get into college coaching, but to go back to the school that I really had a fondness for. And you know, those 3 years I spent with Bill transitioning through his injury and all was really a special time in the life of the program, but in our friendship as well. So it was one of those tragic accidents that actually opened the door for me to come back as his assistant.
Mm-hmm. So you take over as head coach in 1997, and then 7 years later, you're hoisting the national championship trophy. Take me back to that moment, 2004, and not only winning the national championship, but I know you hear this all the time and people may be bringing it up. You taking the national championship trophy into the stands to present it to your mentor, the legendary Boo Ferris.
Well, as a player, my last 2 years, we went, the 2 years that I played, we went to the World Series, finished third. And then my senior year, we went to the national championship game and finished second. We came up a little bit short, couldn't quite win one. And then as a coach, we had gone back to the World Series 5 times and had finished anywhere from third, fourth, and we just hadn't quite been able to pull it off. So we had invested a lot of time wanting to climb that mountain, and I say we, myself, coaches, players, but Coach Ferris as well. So when we were finally able to do it, when we won it in 2004, I guess you could say maybe it was a relief. Maybe it kind of got some weight off our shoulders, but certainly it was a time we all enjoyed celebrating. And people know that Coach Ferris was, you know, he and I had a great relationship, but that's true about all the players he coached. And people know what a great influence he was on the program beyond the days he coached. So, you know, that was just one of those spontaneous things. Kind of like wanting to share it with your dad, or, you know, just a great moment in your life that you wanted to share with someone who had helped make it possible.
Yeah, that was something too, because I don't think there was not a dry eye in those stands that particular night. I had an opportunity to make it over to Montgomery, and it was so special, this being the 20th anniversary of that national championship team. And this past spring you brought a lot of the players back to reminisce and celebrate that moment. What did that mean to you, the fact that, and the time has flown, we talk about how time just flies, but it doesn't seem like it was 20 years ago when you reflect on it. But what was that like to get the band back together, so to speak?
Yeah, well, I think we all had that one goal and that common purpose of wanting to win a championship for Delta State, and that's the way we approached that. We were trying to get that done for everyone who had ever worn that uniform. But that was just a great team. I've often told people, they ask me a lot about, okay, why did that team win one? You've had so many good ones. What was special about that team? Well, there were a lot of things special about it, but it was that chemistry and the way they supported each other.
Well, Coach, we're going to take our final time out, but we'll return. We're going to talk a little bit more about how the landscape of athletics has changed over the years, and also has affected your program in particular with some budget cuts that just took place, and how you're dealing with that aspect as well. We'll be right back with much more. Mike Kinnison here on your Overtime.